use TI-84PlusCE to do some simple GC design. If you have any questions, do feel free to email me at this email address. I shall start my sharing now. Okay, first we look at the layout of this calculator. The front part, the first row is all the graphing keys, followed by graphing calculator special key. We will be using these two sets of keys very often later on. The last part of the key is the normal scientific calculator keys, which you should be very familiar with. Please take note. There is two special key that I want you to take note. One is this minus key. These are their 4 operations here. So this is a minus key. This is a negative key. That means, for example, if I want -2, then I key in this one. But if I want 1 minus 2, then I use this one. Okay, let us play around with keying in equation. I shall do some demo later on, but I just go through some of the basic here. Okay, so we will later on be playing with some equations, and then we will learn how to set windows and zoom in and zoom out. Okay, whenever you want to key in equation, you are using y equal here. You can set your window, can zoom in and zoom out, then you can see the graph here. Okay, to key in x, use this key. Okay, it's important that in this particular way, because we are doing design, so you don't want the axes, the x and y axis, to affect your design. So you may want to leave it on when you key in the equation, but remember to remove it after you're done with the equation. And very important, this part I will highlight again later on. To remove it, if you are using any draw feature, that means if you are using second draw feature to do any drawing, you have to remove it before. If you remove it after, all your drawing will be gone also. I will remind you this again later on. Okay. Another very important feature is when I want to draw certain part of the graph. Let's say I want to draw x squared, but I only want to draw x greater than 1. I only want this part of the curve. I don't want the whole curve. I don't want this part of the curve. Okay, so you may want to restrict the domain. To restrict the domain, there are 2 ways. One is just simply, if I don't put anything here, means multiply. So just bracket x greater than 1. Another way is to do the division. Okay, let me tell you what is the difference between the two. Okay, do a bit of logic here. So when x is greater than 1, this is true. This is a true statement. True statement, the calculator will return a 1. So you will have y1 equals to x squared times a 1, which means they will sketch y squared when x is greater than 1. When x is less than or equals to 1, this is a false statement. So the calculator will return the number 0. So your y1 will be x squared times 0. Therefore, you have the line y equals 0. Okay. When come to division, the same thing works. So when x greater than 1, x greater than 1, true statement, so it returns 1. So y1 is x squared times divided by 1, which give me x squared. But when x is less than or equals to 1, it will return 0. You have y1 is x squared divided by 0, which is undefined. So there won't be anything here, nothing. So in design, usually we prefer division. Unless for some reasons you want a horizontal line here, then you use multiplication. Okay, don't worry about so much info given to you. Later on, when I do some demo, it will be easier for you to remember. Also, anytime you can always refer to the video. Okay, next, we learn how to key in equation. In this case, I key in sine pi x because I lazy to key in the domain as 0 to half pi. I don't want to key in pi so many times. So I put the pi x here. Okay, I also thought it's a good intention here to teach them a bit of transformation. So put a negative, take note is negative y1. y1, how do you key in y1 is under here, alpha f4. Because f4 is light green in color, so you need to press alpha in order to activate. Okay, so you can key in y1. So in this case, I will have the sine curve and the reflection of the sine curve about the x-axis. Okay, then I just draw various part y1 for a different domain. Okay, I think I will just do the illustration now using the software. So here we go to, here you can see that here you can see that I have you can see my key press history here. That means what is the key that I press? For example, now I press 7, 7, 8, 9. Or you can see the history of what I press. You can also see what are the equation, the graph, and the tables that I use. Okay, so we go back to keying in the equation. So I will just follow just now the one. So I have sine, which is here, sine, pi is a light blue in color. So I have to press second in order to key in pi. Okay, x is key. Okay, then I have negative y1. y1 is the shortcut key using F4. So I need to use alpha to activate. So it's number 1. You can either press 1 here, or you just bring your cursor to 1 or 2 or 3, then press enter. Okay, we continue. I'm going to draw the outline of a fish. So the front part, I want to use y1. And I want to restrict my domain, and I use division. Restrict my domain to 0 to half pi. Okay, to get the condition of less than and so on, you need to use this test button. I need to use second, and it's under condition. So I'm pressing 5. So it's between 0 and 0.5. I'm doing my y2 now. I'm doing my y2 divide, and I'm going to do 0.5. Same, I'm going to go to the condition, to set condition. Okay, the listing here is actually in a cycle order. So you can either do right arrow key 2 times or left arrow key once. Okay, so this will be, okay. To save my time, actually I have prepared this set of equation earlier on. Okay, this is also to illustrate how I save equation. So I come up from the equation page. That means I go to my front, my home page, which is second quick. Okay, let me clear this. Okay, then I go and second recall. That means I'm going to second draw, recall my GDB, which stands for recall my graph database. I store it under 0. So press enter. Okay, so I go back to Y equation editor. You see that those things that actually I prepared earlier on and I store under my graph database can be recalled back. Okay, please not only recall back all the equations, it also recall back all my window setting. Okay, please take note that I didn't highlight these 2 equations because I'm not going to draw these 2. I'm going to draw Y3 to Y8. I'm not going to draw Y1 and Y2. Okay, how do you select and deselect equation? So you just use the arrow key. Go to the equation, press enter once is selected. Press enter again is to deselect. So go to the equation and press the equation sign and press enter, or enter again to select and deselect. Okay, now we go on to draw the graph. So let us play around with zoom in and zoom out. So I'm going to zoom in. To zoom in, you need to choose your center to zoom in. So let me choose the center to be somewhere in the middle, then press enter. So they will zoom in. Okay, I would like to remove the X and Y axis now. So it's under format, which is light blue color. So second format. Okay, bring down the cursor. Okay, so now the axis, I want to remove it. You can change the color of the axis if you need. Okay, so I off it. Okay, let's go back to the graph. Okay, so in this case, I would like to save this. Okay, so second, I like to save this. So how to save? You will use second draw very often. Okay, so to store and save is the same. Store and recall is the same. So I would like to store picture. Okay, so I would like to store under picture 0. So this is stored under picture 0. Okay, now I would like to add more design. In order to add more design, I would do some more drawing and then recall back my picture 0 to superimpose on it. Okay, let's say I'm quite happy with this fish, but I would like to, my plan is to draw a smaller fish, then superimpose a big fish earlier on, and I will have a mommy fish and baby fish. Okay, so I would like to make this smaller. I will just do the zoom standard. Zoom standard is just now the original setting. Okay, that means the X axis is minus 10 to 10. The y-axis also minus 10 to 10. So I'm quite happy with this. Okay, see what happens if I try to recall, okay, recall my mommy fish. So second draw, stop here, underscore, I try to recall. I want to recall, I want my mommy fish. You can just choose here. Okay, my picture 1, picture 1 just now this morning, I store another small fish inside already. So it should be picture 0. So picture 0. Okay, so just this morning I did some more design. So some of the picture is old picture. Okay, so you see, if I recall picture 0, which is my mommy fish, I don't want this position. So I would like to shift my baby fish. So I don't want this one. Okay, so I redo. So I redo. Okay, so I redo. Okay, to redo, simply just get out somewhere and then get in again. So this was my baby fish, and I would like to shift it somewhere to the right, okay, or to the left, up to you. I would like to shift it to the right. Okay, so I go window setting. Okay, window setting, this is a standard setting, minus 10 to 10 for X and Y axis. So here I would like to change to, I want the negative side to have more reading, but I don't want to change the fish to be too small. So I still want to keep the scale of 20 along the x-axis. Okay, so let me see the graph now. So you notice the fish is shifted to the right side. Now I recall my mommy fish. Sorry. Now I recall my mommy fish. Under store, I recall picture, and it was picture 0. It was picture 0. It was picture 0. Okay, I'm very happy with this. Once you're happy, please store it, because this calculator, you can't undo what you don't want it to be done. But you have to store whatever you're very happy with. If you're not very happy, you just get out from this page and then get in again. Okay, so I have to store. So I have to go second draw. Then I store under, in case I still want picture 0, the mommy fish, for some reason, so I should store it in a different picture. So store picture 1. Okay, so let me recall what is your picture 1. So you can just recall picture 1 and see what is it. Call picture 1. Okay, that means just now I store wrongly. Okay, let me redo. Let me redo. So I have Oh, I forgot to press enter. Just now I forgot to press enter. So they are still letting me decide which picture I want to use. So second draw. Under picture. Okay, let us get out and check what is my picture one. Okay, if you want to use O command, if you want to use O command, you can actually use your arrow key up until the command that you want. So in this case, I want to recall picture one. I just press enter, it will be paste. Press enter again, it will be executed. So you will see picture one. So that is how we shift design around in the window by setting my window, then superimpose old picture and save it again. So and we at one time we add a small design at one time and to make our final design as a final picture. Okay, so the final picture is very important. Intermediate picture you may want to keep it, but because you can only save 0 to 9 picture, that means 10 picture. So some of the picture you may have to save over it again and again many times. Okay, so the difference between saving GBD and picture is one is to save all the equations and window setting. The other one picture is to save my picture only. Okay, back to my PowerPoint. So we were here. So we have finished this part. Okay, this is to show you the different positioning. Okay, so the standard setting, which is zoom standard. Just now I shifted. This was the one that I shifted to 5 units to the left. Okay, you may want to practice around. Think of a window setting. If you want to your picture to be on the right hand corner of the calculator, how should you change your window setting? You can just experiment around. If you are happy with the position, then you save it. If you are not happy, then you don't save it. Okay, so this one I've actually also gone through. So you go to store, which number one, which is store picture. You can save anything from 0 to 9. Okay, to recall picture also, recall. Okay. So remember, if you want to add any object to picture one, you need to draw your design first, then recall picture one, then store it again, store it again. Okay. Each time you add a design to picture, to the old picture, if you're happy about it, you should store it. Otherwise, it might be too late if you add something else that you don't like. Okay, still on storing and recalling picture and GDB. Okay, once your picture is stored, please take note the position cannot be changed anymore. Okay, if you want to adjust the window, let's say further adjustment to the window, it will only change the current object that is being drawn using the equation editor. Any object that use second draw to draw will disappear. Okay, to store your equations for later use, you store in GDB. To store picture, you go store picture. So there's a difference. Okay, so same to recall back the equation, you use recall. Okay, I'm moving on to more draw features now. Okay, so second draw is the one that you'll be using very often. And then all the various draw features, we will go through one by one, those that are useful one. Okay, so I will be going through lines and so on. Okay, let us move back to the software. Okay, let me illustrate one more thing. Let's say I'm going to draw second draw. I'm going to draw a line. So in this case, you can bring your cursor down to 2, or you can just press the number 2. Okay, let's say I'm going to draw lines. Please take note, you can change the star. How do you change the star? You press the key nearest to star. So in your handheld, in your calculator itself, it's graph. Okay, so I may want to change, use your cursor. I may want to change it red. Okay, you may change the line also. You can see, this will be doing shading for the upper line. Okay, this will be doing shading for the below the line. I mean below the line. This would be just line, thicker line. Okay, so I prefer a thicker line. Okay, press enter. Okay, so now bring your cursor to where you want to start your line. So for a line, you need to define the endpoint, the two endpoints. So let's say I'm happy here. So I press enter. Okay, I would like to draw. You see, just to move the line with a slope, I just press these two keys together. So in your handheld, you can actually just use two fingers and press these two keys at the same time. Okay, I'm happy here, so I just press enter. So that is my line. Okay, I can change. I can also draw. Okay, let me draw some more. Okay, let me draw a horizontal line. So horizontal line, you just need to shift to the position that you want the horizontal line to. Same, you can change star. I shall not change the star to save time. So I'm happy here. I press enter. Similarly for vertical line, I shall not illustrate that. Number 5, tangent. Number 5, tangent is to draw tangent to a curve, which I don't think I will be using it now. Okay. Let me show you another thing. That's it. Just now I already draw my. It's stuck. Let me draw a circle. Okay. Let me draw a circle. For circle, you have to define two things. One is the center. So for example, I'm going to draw bubble for the mummy fish. Maybe I will just draw a circle here to save time because the cursor is a bit difficult to control here. Okay, so the first enter, define the center. Then I move to somewhere that I want the radius to be. So in this case, this is my radius. So I just press enter. I will draw a circle. Okay, please take note. Let's say now I decided to shift the window. Okay. Let's see what happens if I shift the window. Okay, I decided to shift it to minus 10. Okay, I decided to shift my window to the standard setting now. Okay, then you see what happened. All those that I draw using second draw and those pictures that I recall, which is the mummy fish, all will be gone. Only those that is in the equation editor y equals to will only appear. So remember, once you change your window setting, all those that use second draw will disappear, and those recall picture also will disappear. Let me change some more graph so that we can do some shading. Okay, please take note that I would like to clear my equation one by one. Because if you go second memory, and at about if you go second memory and you go and do reset, which is here, okay, I don't want to reset everything because I still want the picture that is safe and the GDB that is safe to be there. So once you do reset, you may clear everything. So I have to go through the trouble of clearing equation one by one. Okay, let's say now I draw a sine curve. Okay, and I draw a negative sine curve. So in this case, I'm lazy to use Y1 since sine curve is not difficult to key in. So I'm going to do shading. Okay, I'm going to do shading from 0 to, this is pi over 2, which is about 1.5. Let's say I'm doing 1 to 1.5. So let me show you how I do shading, which is here. Shading is one very useful function here. Okay, so in case you forget the command, because for shading, the command is quite difficult, you can bring the cursor all the way to the part, the function that you want to use, then you press plus. They will teach you what is the command like. So you need to key in the lower function, the upper function, Okay, the square bracket means optional, but I would like to illustrate to you how I use the X value on the left, X value on the right, the pattern. And this is the number of pixels for the gaps and color. Okay, so I remember these are the command that I have to use. So let's go back. So I'm using this now. Okay, so I'm shading above Y2. I'm shading above Y2, below Y1, X value from 0 to 1.5, pattern 1, and every one pixel. And I want the color to go to the color, you go variable, and you can see color is, okay, let me use red color. So you'll be shading from 0 to 1.5 is about pi over 2. Pi over 2. Okay, so okay, so this is X value. A bit difficult to annotate here. Never mind, I use my power. So this is the X value on the left to the X value on the right. This is the pattern. In this case, I choose pattern 1. Pattern 1 is number 1 is a vertical line. Pattern you have 1 to 4. But actually 2, 3, 4, I see that the pattern, I also don't know how to describe the pattern. You may want to explore around. 2 pixels means the gap between the two vertical lines. So in this case, this is the gap. Okay, so the bigger the number, the bigger the gap. So if let's say this is 2, 3 will be bigger. 1 will be smaller. So this is for the gap. Okay, and this is color. Okay, so I show it here. This is the first one here. I use blue. Second one, I use red. This is pattern number 2. Pattern number 2. I don't know how to describe this pattern. Okay, this is pattern number 3. Sorry, pattern number 3 is here. Pattern number 4. This is number 4. You can see from the color and the pattern number. Okay. You can also overlap 2 patterns together. I think I pause here for a while. So to repeat, so this is pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, and pattern 4. With the different color, you can see. Okay, if you never specify the pattern and the color, then by default, it will be pattern 1 and every 1 pixel, and the color is blue. So in this case, I do shading between 4, X between 4 to X equals to 9. So it's here. If I even didn't specify the domain of X that I want to do shading, then by default, they will shade everything in the window. Okay, next we move on to keying in text. Okay, so it's still under second draw. Okay, so text, you can key in any text, but the size is fixed. Okay, and I would like to use this blank key. So if I use blank key, which is text 0, you will see that I can use it as not only as blank only, it can double out as eraser. So I can erase things that I don't want. So in this case, I make my background blue color so that I can show the effect of the eraser. Okay. Please take note, you cannot undo. Okay, so do save your picture once you are happy. Okay, I will be moving on to do more shading, and this type of shading is solid color shading using integration. Okay, let's move on to do these two now using the software. Okay, so back to my graph. Okay, I would like to key in some letter now. So second draw. Okay, as I said, this is a cycle. Huh? So instead of going down all the time, I can just move up. Then I can see that text is under 0. So 0. Okay. So bring your cursor to where you want your text to be. Okay. Same, you still can change your style, but to save time, I will just leave it to you to play around. Okay. Let's say I want to key in alphabet. So alphabet is light green color, so I have to activate by using this key alpha A B C. Okay, let me show you how I use an eraser here. Okay, so I have alpha 0 is my eraser. Alpha 0. Can you see that the letter C is being erased off? So please take note where you put your cursor in order to key in the letter in the position that you want. Okay. Let me finish off all the draw feature. I think I've done. Yeah, pen. The last one is pen. So it's the last one. So I press enter. So pen enable me to draw freehand drawing. So the first enter is to put your pen down. Then I move my cursor. That time it will be drawing. It will be drawing. Okay, same. You can actually draw. Non-straight line by just controlling your cursor in any direction you want. But because I'm using the laptop, so I cannot press 2 keys at the same time. If you are using your handheld, you can actually use 2 fingers to press 2 keys at the same time. Halfway through, I can also change the color. Let's say change to red color. Let's say I'm very happy with this already. Then I just press enter to lift my pen off the paper. So no more drawing. Okay. Please take note, if let's say now I go and zoom in, let's say I go and zoom in, I just want to remind you is that when I zoom in, all the feature that I draw using second draw will disappear. So I zoom in that part, there's nothing there. Okay, so please take note. So I back to my this one, zoom standard. Okay, let me do integration to get solid shading. But the integration is integration with respect to the x-axis. So the shading will be between the curve and the x-axis. So how do you do integration? Under second calculate, okay, integration is 7. So I would like to choose the lower limit 0. Upper limit, let me choose, let's say 6. Sorry, upper limit. Yeah, just now I didn't press enter. You see, remember press enter. So my upper limit now is 6. My lower limit, my lower limit was 6. Now I have to choose upper limit. Just now I forgot to press enter. Say 9. So they will shade with respect to the x-axis. Okay, what happened if now I try on the red one, then I want to shade from -10 to 10. You will see what happened. So second calculate, same, doing integration from -10. Remember to press enter. Upper limit 10. Oh, sorry, I show it on the Y1. I forgot to change to Y2. Okay, let's do the Y2. So second, calculate integration. Okay, I use up and down to change the equation. So just now I press up arrow to choose the red equation. which is y2. Okay, lower limit minus 10, upper limit 10. Okay, so they will shape only between the curve and the x-axis. Okay, integration give you solid shading. Okay. I also like to illustrate using some simple curve like x square. Square you can key in here, can delete. You can also insert. Let's say I forget, I want to actually insert a 2x square. Then I just put second insert 2. Okay. You can, I want to mention that when you want higher power other than square, you have to activate this key, which is the caret key. So, okay, let's say I only want to draw one of them. So I deselect this. Okay, so I graph it. Okay, then if I go to the front, press enter, you can change the color. I shall just keep the color, but I would like to do the upper part shading. Okay, so see what happened? Okay, you can also do the lower part shading. Okay, so back to my PowerPoint. Take note of the difference between negative sign and minus key. If you key wrongly, they will give you error message. So this one I done. And another very useful way to key in equation is because I have to key in so many equations, sometimes I want to key in a family of curve. We call that family of curve. So in this case, see what happened? When I key in 0.1, when I key in 0.1, minus negative 0.1 x squared plus 5. So that is my first rate curve. Okay, but I would like this curve to be very thick. So what I did was plus 0 means the first curve. Second curve, that means my first curve is my negative 0.1 x squared plus 5. My second curve is negative 0.1 x squared plus 5.2. The next one is 5.4. The next one is 5.6. And the last one is 5.8. So in fact, here, there are 5 rate curves here. So that I can create the thickness. So how do you key this one? You use a cursive bracket. So that I can save keying in y1 to y5 just for the same curve that belongs to the same family. That's for this 5 curve that belongs to the same family. Okay, after I draw my y1, I can just simply shift down my y1 1 unit for the orange curve. And the same 5 curve, but now it's in orange color and it's shifted 5 units down. So that is how I create my rainbow. Okay, remember to go to the front part here to change the color. Okay, for the sun, I use a circle, but my circle is not the whole circle because the other 3/4 is out of the window. And I do upper shading. And I shade 3 color in order to create a nicer variation in the color. I don't want it to be the same red color as a rainbow. Okay, so to remind you, if you want to create thickness of the curve, you can just add in using cursive bracket family curve. So in this case, my sine curve is thicker. Okay, more format features, which is quite easy to settle. You can just play around yourself. I will not illustrate. Okay, so you just go second format. You just go format and you can choose the background to be any color here that is available there. You can also choose the border color. Okay, to beautify your design at the end. Okay, I move on to the next type of curve, which is very useful to draw flowers and some other design. Okay, so initially those that is y1 equals to our equation there was function. So the earlier part I did all using function. Now I want to move on to polar. So you just go mode and change to polar. Okay, so you can draw beautiful flowers. So in this case, you can see from the color. So the blue one blue one is a circle. The red one has 4 petals. The black one has 3 petals. You just play around to see how you create design that you want. So this is for this. You can superimpose a few together, but the problem using polar coordinates is you cannot do shading, which I think is also important. So you can combine, you can use a function, the y equals to do all the shading. Then you can combine some of the design using the polar equations. Okay, so do play around with various type of polar equations to see which is the design that you want. Okay, I also send you a soft copy of those equations that are using polar equation to draw to sketch the curve. Okay, so when I have R1 equals to 5, so it's actually a circle with radius 5. Okay, please take note, this one doesn't look like a circle at all. This is supposed to be a circle. Because my setting of the window is -10 to 10, -10 to 10. And you notice the width is longer than the height. Therefore, the circle is being squashed. Okay, so in order to get a circle that really look like a circle, use zoom square. Use zoom square. Okay, and to create the thickness of the circle, you go to key a family curve. Okay, so I will illustrate the polar coordinates now. So using my software, you go mode. So you can see now it's function. Now it's function. Polar is. Remember to press enter. Then you see that you key R equal to. So you can key cos theta. Theta is this key. When you change from function which is x, the key used here will be x, to polar, it's still the same key, but it will be theta. Okay, you need not close bracket, but you can close bracket. If you don't close bracket, they will take it as you have a close bracket. So it's a circle. It's a circle. You have to zoom square. How do you get the square? So zoom square is number 5. So you get a circle. You can zoom in to get a bigger circle. Okay. You may want to play around with some polar equations here. I also have sent you a copy of some of the interesting polar equations. Do explore around. Okay, the next one is the design that I'm going to use is using apps, which is the inequality apps. I'm moving on to the software now. So in my software, I key in Y1. And Y2, I would like to have negative of Y1, which means I'm drawing a circle. Then I move to the front to make sure that I have, I haven't activated the apps yet. So I go inequality, which is under apps, number 7. Okay, so I continue. You may have to start because just now I started already. Okay, so you can see on the top part, you can see on the top part, you can quit the apps. You can also draw vertical line. Okay, but I'm not interested to draw vertical line. I want to draw this and I want to do shading for inequality. So to change the style, I move to the front. I move and the equation here, I change to less than, okay. Or the second equation, I also change the style to bigger than, equal also, yeah. Okay, let's draw. So I zoom in. Wait, there's an arrow. Oh, so I zoom in. So they do shading because I set inequality. Okay. You can also go second trace and do more choice in your inequality shading. For example, I can do shading for intersection. I can also do for union. Or I can also do for the original shading, which is number 4. Okay, how do you know that you go to second calculate to do all these selection? You can see from here. You can see from here. So on your top part of the calculator screen, you can see that they actually give you some simple instruction here. If you want to go inequality menu to get more choice, second calculate. Okay. Let me finish off my last part of my PowerPoint. Okay, some useful equation. For example, if you want to draw heart shape, this is a past year students submission. So the Wi-Fi symbols I thought is quite interesting. So the Wi-Fi symbols is actually using polar. Okay. Handphone symbols. So it's important that when you do your design, not only you give me the picture, you must give the equation also. And if there are too many equations, you select the important one to submit. Okay, DNA. So the shading is obviously above Y1, below Y2. So you only shade those parts. Those parts that is not above Y1, below Y2, they will not do shading. So, and they use family curve. Past year student submission also, they use parametric equation. Under mode, you can change to parametric equation. You can key in this set of equation and you can get the Singapore flyer. Okay, more special effect. You can go to the grid line, set the grid line some color, or you can set the grid line to be dotted line or solid line, or you don't want it. Our under format. Okay. These are just some of my design. That time was a black and white calculator. This is my school. Okay, you can use straight line. You can use straight line. They can create beautiful design too. Those are the years where the calculator is non-color. These are students' submission. When 2015, that year, we started with color GC. So we have some design with color GC, and this is my design. Okay, these are students' design. Each year we have different theme. You can see some of the student design is really very, very creative. My advice is you draw one object at a time and save it once you are satisfied. Remove excess remove excess after all equations are completed so that you can do some calculation on the equation. But remember, all drawing done by the draw key must be done after you remove the excess. And do play around with different colors. Okay, creative time, come up with your own design. You may want to use graph paper to do some calculation. Okay, create the equation that you think and must think through the steps that you want to design step by step. Save the picture in your design once you're happy with. Okay, remember to keep a record of important equations with the window setting that you use. Okay, you either use to save it under the graph database, or you write it on a piece of paper. Okay, this is the end of my presentation, but I would like to show you what are the material that I have sent to you. So the first material that I sent is I summarize all those points that I went through in the Word document. So one, line design, and to create beautiful design using line. In A here, in B here, using quadratic, C using cubic, with all the equations here. And polar curve. Okay. Second format, what are the useful things in second format? Okay. To zoom in, zoom out, window setting, and the second draw, all the important and useful second draw features. Okay. In case you are lost, catalog help. That means you press the plus key at the function that you want to use, then you can get the help. Okay. The colors also, all the various shading. That is my document 1. Document 2 is a PowerPoint that I will be sending to you soon. Document 3 is how I do my design on the rainbow. And my first design is I using inequality. So I shade the lower part all red. Then I shade over the orange. But you see, you can see that the color is not pure. It's not pure orange, pure yellow, because I do shading over the red when I shade the orange color. For the yellow, I shade it over the orange and the red, so the color appear not so pure. Okay, and for this part, I use eraser. I use an eraser to erase it. It's not so easy because I want to make sure that this part is smooth. Okay. And for fountains, it's very good to use absolute value graph to create fountain because it's symmetrical. Okay, and the last part here is another design of my rainbow, which is I prefer this one. Using family curve. So that's my third document. My fourth document is the polar curve, various polar curve with the important keys where to find them, and some of the interesting polar curves equations here. Okay. The last documents, which is the fifth documents, I found on the internet some very famous graph, beautiful graph, and I just send it to you. You may find them useful. Yeah, that is all I have to share with you. Thank you so much. I will end here.